It's Blade Runner for dummies. We saw The Adventures of Pluto Nash, so you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just be a hater, cause you know you wonder, how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? I am Paul, joined as always by Jason and June. How are you both?
Good, what's going on?
Very good. We have a pair of special guests today. These two hilarious women are on a brand new show called Best Friends Forever. It's on NBC, premiering April 4th, right?
Yes, at 8:30, right after Betty White's Off Their Rockers. That's for real.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah, get ready.
That's happening, America.
Please welcome Jessica St. Clair and Lennon Parham. How are you both?
Thank you for having us.
And you guys are here to talk about Betty White's Off Their Rockers.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So is it like Howie Mandel's show, but different and older?
Because it's a prank show, but with older
Old
people,
person prank show.
right?
Old people. Now, Lennon, do you know if old people prank young people?
Yeah, I think that's the
what's going on. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very
a lot of
excited.
sexual
It's not a
innuendo.
one-time special. It's a
It's a series.
full
No, it's
series.
a series.
Fantastic.
And you guys have been paired with it because you guys are
Also-
appealing to a similar elderly demographic.
Yes, of course. Elderly women and gay men are our target. That's true.
That's huge.
That's true. This is not a bit. That is true. And if we get those people, then I don't need. I can retire.
Is that who you're marketing towards?
Yes.
CBS has made a fortune basically doing
Yeah, they
that,
have.
I think.
That's true.
Yeah, they have.
All right,
I'm
well,
hoping
what
to
is
be in
their-
a remake of Designing
What
Women.
is their gay people show?
Everything.
CBS?
Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods. Oh my God. That's Tom Selleck's mustache, I guess.
Tom Selleck? Did
Tom
you
Tom
just say-
Selleck's mustache.
Did you say no? You said Tom Selleck.
The emphasis
mustache.
was in a really weird
Wait, I
spot.
said Tom Selleck's mustache.
No, you
You
didn't.
know
You
what,
said
guys?
Tom
Screw you guys.
Starring Tom Selleck.
Tom
Tom Selleck's mustache. All right, so Pluto Nash, The Adventures of Pluto Nash. I just want to open up with my first question, which is, how would you classify this movie? Is it a comedy? No. Is it an action movie?
I don't know. I was confounded by almost every element of this movie, from the beginning to the prologue to the 7 years ahead. I didn't understand if Alec Baldwin was in it or not.
Yes.
Like, I was completely mystified by what was happening, and all of it seemed to be predicated on this action-y shoot him up, he's going to be killed, just for like moon gambling.
I'd also
A
like
moon
to know if
casino.
anyone could describe just like a one-line.
Yeah, what's the pitch?
In one line, what is the movie?
Yeah. You're Black Han Solo on the moon. on the moon.
Yeah, because of that
Yeah.
jacket
Yeah.
in
He
the
was a
first
smuggler.
scene.
Was he a
Yeah, he
smuggler?
was a
as
smuggler.
well?
Yes, he was
Yep.
a smuggler, just got out
You're
of jail.
on the moon,
And you also are a very famous club owner.
Then you become. Then you give up smuggling to become
Wait,
a very famous club.
I'm
Well, he got
sorry.
put in
No,
jail.
no. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Was he a famous club owner before he
No.
got
No.
put in jail?
Clair.
Then there is a timeline problem, because by the time he arrives with Jay Moore and he's in the kilt in the very beginning,
Yes.
everyone's like, "Ooh, the Pluto Nash."
Because
I
it's
thought.
smuggling. He was the famous
I didn't
smuggler.
know
at
that.
point.
I thought he had, and I kept thinking to myself
what was,
during that
what was
first
the movie
scene.
you watched? I want to know.
During the first scene, I thought to myself, well, who ran his club when he was in jail?
Sure.
And that wasn't clear. So now that's clear to a lot of
Yeah,
It
people.
was maybe an agent.
It also wasn't
I almost-
clear, though.
See-
Start out.
It also really wasn't clear. Did he always have designs to become a club owner, or
It was
did
his
it
dream.
just
He
sort
said
of,
when
It
the
was his dream?
gangsters.
Yes.
When the gangsters are torturing Jay Moore, he says it's always my dream to open a club of my own.
Oh, he buys Jay Moore's
Okay, because
the club
Yes.
that
I
he's singing
thought-
Oh my God,
in. Is
I-
that correct?
He settles the debt.
I would
Right.
pay upwards
the
of
guy from the-
$1,000 to just listen to Jessica St. Clair describe the movie she thinks she watched.
Guys, I feel like someone had given me the date rape drug, and then I woke up.
Well, it doesn't make
and my
sense.
butthole was sore, and I had some vague memories of having screened Pluto Nash. That's the
because
experience
here's
of
the thing.
watching that movie.
I
to me.
thought when he said it was always my dream to open a club that he was lying just to get
Yeah.
Jay Moore out of a
Maybe.
pickle.
That's
Well,
possible.
the opening scene is Jay Moore on stage being a Scottish crooner
yeah.
named
On the moon.
Anthony Frankowski on the moon.
It's on the moon. Just so everybody knows, this movie takes place on the moon.
You never
in
see
the year
2080.
2080.
Well,
Or
no,
20 or
it takes place in 2080 for 5 minutes, and then
Right.
it jumps 7 years ahead.
Yes.
I also want to
2080.
say that Rosario Dawson in one scene keeps referring to back in '76. That's only 4 years ago. That's like if
Yep.
we were like back
Well, no,
in
I mean
2008.
by the time we see Rosario, it's 2087.
Well, see, I didn't
so
know
that's
that.
11
I didn't know
years
what
prior.
was going on. I
She's
needed
probably at
I
9 years old.
Timeline.
I really wish you could just describe what you think you saw. Who do you think Rosario Dawson was? Do you know, St. Clair?
She was just a girl who was trying to make it big. She'd come from Salt Lake City. I know she mentioned that.
You're right.
Well,
You're right.
I
That was
remember
pretty
it.
good.
Town.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
But
So
and
rough.
also her dad was
Little Nicky or
famous
something.
smuggler.
Yeah, they
Wait,
knew-
her dad was a famous smuggler?
Her dad was Nikki Legs or somebody.
Nikki Sticks.
Nikki Sticks.
Isn't that
They
a
knew
famous
each other.
singer?
Nikki
Inside.
Six is the guitar.
Oh, I thought it was Nikki
guitarist for,
Sticks. I thought they were
Motley
referring
Crue.
to a Motley
They-
Crue.
Basically, what we're
Man.
saying is this movie,
Doesn't make any
from
sense.
moment one, actively doesn't make any sense. And it is definitely not a comedy. I counted 1.5 jokes.
What were they?
I laughed
were
out
you?
I want
loud.
to know
Yes.
what the half was.
Okay,
I laughed out loud once.
Oh, really? Okay, what was your? All right, let's see if
That was
matches.
when Eddie Murphy did that really long pause after Jay
Me too.
Moore
That was great.
described how he was going to make it to the other elevator.
Yes. I thought that was a
Yes.
that was a joke. That was a
Yep.
solid joke, and I considered the half joke the robot maid who would
Yeah,
bend over.
oops, yeah.
They called that the oops program.
Yeah.
They could look at her robot vagina. Like that was basically like what Eddie Murphy gets
I'll
off
tell you-
on, looking at robot vagina.
I'll tell you what's a disturbing moment of the film is when who's that
Louis Guzman.
Guzman talks about renting a robot to rape that robot and then it turning on him.
There's
Terminator
a lot of,
style.
Yeah.
He,
There's a
he
lot of-
references the
Why
Terminator
is- I don't know,
movie.
what's wrong with that?
It's terrifying
brother.
to me. That's not
It's
right.
just a
That's a
robot,
message
though.
we're sending that isn't right.
If
What
you-
is-
It wasn't like he rented a tiny child.
Oh
He
no!
rented
My understanding was he had a robot that he was the pimp for.
No, my
He
ro-
rented that
he
robot
tried to
out.
have sex with that
Yes,
robot
then
and the
he
robot
tried to have
turned
sex
on
with
him.
it. Yes, then the robot turned on him, and went Terminator
Terminator.
style, which is a reference that at that point is.
hundreds of years
I mean,
old.
like-
but
at that point it's like,
It's like referencing a talkie
Yes,
now.
But at the same time, there's a point in the movie where Eddie Murphy is watching a Jimmy Cagney movie. So I guess all
yes,
time.
but
is
nobody
fine.
remembers Frank Sinatra.
no.
Oh right, yes.
So yeah,
Here, I mean, just so
timeline is up for grabs.
we're not gonna go step by step for the movie because it's gonna
This,
make
all right, we are already. But by the way, if you're confused by what's happening in the
Yeah. So
So are
podcast,
we.
the movie is a billion times more confusing.
Basically, all you need to know is that someone wants Eddie Murphy to sell his club. He says no. They blow it up, and then the whole movie is running into a cameo, explosions, running into a cameo, explosions, running into a cameo. That's
Space
that-
gunfights.
Eddie Murphy fighting himself.
Oh, and then the big.
Oh yeah!
Murphs
Spoiler
on
alert!
Murphs.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert.
I think I knew from the beginning because they started off with a hip hop version of Blue Moon.
Yes.
And then the soundtrack never failed me for the rest of the time.
Oh,
The
yeah.
soundtrack is one of the worst soundtracks
Yeah.
of all time. It's like Saved by the Bell underscoring like boop, but
Yeah.
jazzy hip
Terrible.
hop. The Blue Moon thing in the beginning was like
is
hip hop Blue Moon
crazy.
is really
It's
bad.
like.
What about when they show their? What
And
about when
they
they
actually
show
say
their?
rap in Blue Moon. They go like rap. Like they go like the hip hop track over the Blue Moon who calls out that
But
rap.
mad props to Rosario and Jay, who both did their own singing.
Well,
Yeah.
Jay Moore
Oh, yeah?
probably shouldn't have done his own singing if he was like that. I mean, I thought that was an odd choice.
It wasn't odd.
Yeah.
And was Rosario trying to launch a singing career?
On
You
the
know,
moon.
she was in Rent.
No, I mean in person.
that's
Oh,
right.
she
in
was.
real
You're
life.
right.
Yeah,
She was?
she is a singer. And
just-
I wrote those lyrics down for that last song
Oh,
because
yeah.
I love them.
Do you want to please sing them?
Yes.
I don't remember the tune, but it was "We be getting crunked up, we be getting pumped up, we put that fire out." I don't know why that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We lift your glasses higher now.
Isn't the
right.
chorus "Everything is all right"?
Yeah, it's
The
all
movie
right. It's
ends.
all right.
The movie ends, and that song lets you know that hey, everything is all right. That is a pretty amazing thing. Did you know that this movie was ranked the 79th worst film in 2000, but it has the distinction of being the biggest financial loss of any movie besides John Carter of all time.
Is that true?
Yes, John Carter just
John Carter
beat it
is
out.
destroyed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. The budget for this movie. Now, by the way, it looks like
It costs $5 to make.
exactly.
It's the most
ugliest-
steadiest sets.
It looks like they just threw a bunch of neon on like Disneyland streets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
If you've never
That
been to
they
Universal City Walk, it
Yes.
looks like a
Yeah.
dilapidated version of that.
And the weird thing about that is like they made this movie. The movie came out in 2002.
Yeah.
So they made this movie like in the 2000s. It looks like it looks like someone in the 70s made a movie about the future.
Well, here's a piece
Yeah.
of
the
info I
future
dug
when
up.
they were making it was more futuristic than what the
People
future in
still
this movie
use
looks like.
payphones in this movie.
Yes!
That's the one thing that
Yes.
Jetsons don't even use payphones.
Here's the situation. This movie was in development for 17 years.
Yes.
Yeah, from
That is
Started off
insane.
in 1985.
So that is what they thought the future would be in 1985.
And
It was-
nobody
No one
nobody
updated
updated
it?
it?
Yeah.
They
No,
didn't do
they didn't
production
have
design
time.
in 1985.
Maybe they did,
probably
we don't
did it
know.
in 2000.
They did those dioramas. Maybe the set designer made those dioramas in 1985. They didn't have,
Well, they got a
They
lot
didn't
of
revisit
funny ads in there, like America Online is
my
a big
God.
thing in 2008.
Lunar edition.
Lunar edition of
I
America
also
Online.
have. I would love to talk to the costume designer about that
yeah.
rust-colored ruffled shirt and leather jacket that Rosario Dawson was in. It was
She's
the
a
most
fantastic
unflattering thing I've ever seen.
She was dressed like a pile of garbage.
And all of the men are dressed like Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
On the moon. We
It
are
looks
to
like
believe-
it looks like a Steve Harvey clothing store blew up and
Yeah.
then outfitted the entire
It
cast.
literally is like, oh, well, there's a lunar colony now. Yeah, it's Little America.
Yeah.
What does everybody wear? Suits? That
Yeah.
sounds right.
Well, I mean, again,
Suit Riot.
to talk about how bad.
I own that CD.
What? What are you talking about?
That's true. Isn't
Big
that
Bad
what
Voodoo Daddy?
Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
That you own that CD? Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait,
Is that
do you
the-
have a single?
Whatever
that
the
CD
CD
single?
was that had that song.
I feel like if I went into your house, you would have 5 CDs, and they are
Name
that
them.
CD,
The Shrek 2
soundtrack.
Shrek 2 soundtrack.
Oh, not Shrek
Wait,
1?
why
Shrek
not?
2.
Why Shrek 2?
Why not Shrek 1?
I don't know. I own
Did
the
you
Shrek
lose
2
Shrek
soundtrack.
1?
Maybe. I don't know what, but I definitely have Shrek 2.
I feel like you have all soundtracks.
yes.
Like a Steel Magnolia soundtrack,
That's
maybe?
true. Anna Green Gables soundtrack.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And then
That's
she
it.
has the glory.
And like
Oh,
George
maybe,
Winston's
and maybe,
Winter.
who are the
Old-
girls?
you have old
who are the
school,
women who
Gloria
used to wear?
Estefan.
Yes, and who are the women that used to wear the satin gloves?
En Vogue?
En Vogue?
En Vogue.
En Vogue.
Never gonna get it. Yeah, I own that as well.
Wow.
Movingon.org.
And movingon.org, is that a different organization than moveon.org?
That's a past tense one.
Is that a what
Back to the
website?
film.
Or is that?
Let's get back to the film.
I wanted to. We did.
Let's talk about the film.
Can I
Well-
go back to Jay Moore for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
He's very
Okay, because I
thin.
was trying to figure out. Now, was he a performer? So he wasn't Scottish, obviously.
was a-
His last name was.
I think he was a Scottish
Frankowski.
critic. Yeah.
No, that's Polish.
Polish.
They kept
He
was
making reference to
Polish,
him as
yes.
Polish.
So he
Yeah.
was just a guy who wanted to find like a gimmick for his stage persona.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
he had
So he was
sunk
wearing
all
the
his
Scottish,
money.
the Scottish crooner
Right.
or whatever he called himself.
The club was a really dingy club because no one
Was it?
wanted to hear this Scottish
Scottish.
critic.
Where
God.
a diarrhea appeared to be coming out of the faucets.
That's
Ugh.
like your worst nightmare, right?
That
Katie?
bathroom-
That bathroom is
Also-
your worst
That bathroom
nightmare.
was like 10 million times worse
That's
than
like-
the train spotting bathroom.
That's like watching Saw for me. Is you
Yeah.
having to use that type of bathroom?
Also, interesting fact about Eddie Murphy: when he goes into that disgusting bathroom, he turns on the faucet, and like green goo comes out, and he's like, "Ugh, let me get my handy wipe out." Eddie Murphy
Insert
travels.
shot.
Yes.
Insert shot of handy wipe. Like
Yeah.
extreme close up of a handy wipe being opened.
A little bit of OCD. Like this is like another part of Pluto Nash's character that we don't really revisit. That he just
Never
has
come
handy
back to.
wipes.
Never
then
come back
when he
to.
comes back from the bathroom, Jay Moore is tied up by these gangsters who he owes money to, and they have a can that says battery acid.
Yep.
And they're about to pour it in his mouth via a funnel. But I didn't know that you could get battery acid in a can. Like,
Oh, yeah,
what
totally.
what would you ever do that? Like, yeah, I had like a can of battery acid. I need to pour that on something. Like,
Well, are you going to put it in batteries? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
just give me that can of battery. It won't eat through the can, though, right?
No.
All right, good. All right.
Doesn't
You
eat
guys-
through a battery, does it?
Did you guys recognize the guy's assistant who was helping with the battery acid?
Who was it?
Who isn't?
I think it was the grown-up kid from Bronx Tale.
Really?
Oh.
The
Yeah.
cross-eyed guy?
No, that's Victor Varnado.
Isn't
No,
he an
that's the guy we
improviser?
know. That's
Yeah.
the guy we know.
Yes.
Victor Vernado, we know.
Yes.
I think is it Max Casella? Is that his name?
Oh, the kid from Doogie Howser?
Yeah, that might have
look.
been him.
I'm gonna
No,
look.
that's wrong. Don't. That's wrong.
Oh, you
The
just
kid from
outed
Doogie
him.
Howser is wrong.
By the way, I'm going to read you what this is. Just we were saying, well, how would you describe this movie? I'm going to describe it to you. Here's how somebody wrote it as a pitch.
Okay, ready?
After his successful club is blown to flaming bits, Pluto and his band travel across the moon. His band travel across the moon looking for clues to who's behind the arson, along with Bruno.
Arson? What arson?
When they blew up his
club. I guess
but there
that's
aren't
arson.
any clues.
There's
he
no
knows
clues.
who blew it up.
Yeah.
He knows who blew it up.
Along with Bruno, his bodyguard, and Dina the singer, Pluto visits a seedy motel, his secret hideout, and the casino of the most powerful man on the moon, searching for the evildoer, only to find the destruction of his club may have been his own fault.
Whoa.
That, I guess, is
When
the...
does that
Nice
happen?
twist.
I would.
Was
a
I-
nice twist.
When does that happen? That you find out it was his own fault?
When he
At the
realizes
end,
he's
because
got a
he's
clone.
himself.
He's got a clone. He fights himself. You
He
remember
didn't
that?
clone himself.
No, but the guy had access to all his brain stuff.
Like, basically, what they did was he got an appendix surgery
In prison.
In prison, and they took a piece of his appendix. They cloned a new
him.
Eddie Murphy. Then Eddie Murphy found out that he was being a puppet, and then he got rid of the mafia guys that were making him a puppet. And now he's not a puppet. He's a real mafia guy.
I thought there was some really strong character work done by Ileana Douglas.
Yeah.
In that
wiggy
wig.
wig.
That wig. That
And
wig
the-
did a lot for
And the
her.
top and bottoms with
Now,
cutout.
I just want to pause for a second. St. Clair, do you know who we're talking?
Yes, the woman who does the cloning.
No, not cloning. She does.
She does
Yes,
the
no, you're
body
right.
work.
Yes, you're right.
Body
Yes.
Body clone.
augmentation.
Body
Which I think putting them, so there's a scene where they go to get body work done, where like plastics, it's like moon plastic surgery, and then they look in the mirror,
Yes.
and they could see what they could look
It's like
like.
a funhouse mirror.
That goes on for like 45 minutes, but
Because
I think
it's hilarious to
I
watch
think they
them-
sucked up most of their budget on those shots. Honestly,
On those
I think
special
that's why
effects?
there was no money for the set or the costume.
But they only do it twice. Like they look at their body as Africans, like Africans from the jungle,
Yes,
which Eddie Murphy
Amazons.
keeps like, with Eddie Murphy going like, I look like a doofus.
Yeah.
I look like a doofus. Like weird term. And I mean, all right. So he looks
That's
like a
Amazon
doofus. Yeah,
one.
and that's Amazon. And then they get bodybuilder look.
Venice
Well,
Beach
he
look.
keeps on
Venice Beach
Venice
is the
Beach.
reference.
Yes,
Yeah.
Venice
Yeah.
Beach.
But he
And
keeps
so with
on
the ro-
taking the piss out of Rosario Dawson
About
by
her-
telling
about
her
her
she
butt.
needs a bigger butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Which,
Rosario
you know
Dawson-
what? Not the worst advice.
Well, then
You
Eddie
know?
Murphy creates a body for Rosario Dawson where her boobs are giant and her ass is giant, and he's like, "Yeah, I like that." It's like she looks grotesque.
Oh, yeah.
And so does Eddie Murphy as
Wait,
his
is
Venice Beach.
grotesque good? I forget. Can we spend, I don't know, maybe the next 30 minutes talking about Randy Quaid's performance in this movie?
Listen, I think he was the
my
only committed
God.
member of this cast.
I think you're
felt
right.
like he had pathos. I thought he had he was obviously he had done some movement work. I
Yes.
don't know if he worked with a coach, a movement coach.
Probably.
Randy Quaid, just so you know, plays the robot bodyguard who is an older model, and he talks very weird like this, like the whole movie. But yes,
And they modulated his voice a bit too.
Yes.
I think that may have been Randy Quaid.
What?
Regardless, I think he was overlooked during awards season. in
Really?
2002.
Do you-
I don't know what else was up.
Do you think that this is the performance that
Of a
got,
lifetime? Yes.
Yeah, that they got the people against him. All the people. Who does they say who was against him? Randy
Oh,
Quaid.
the Hollywood...
Hollywood Mafia.
The Hollywood Mafia,
Was
yes.
his performance too good in this, and that's why the Hollywood
Possibly.
Mafia is coming
I feel
out?
like this movie might have driven him into absolute insanity.
Yes.
Like he might have never recovered because this is the kind of role that you disappear into. He just
You
might
do.
never have come out of it.
like
He
a
played-
Daniel Day-Lewis type of situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
I want to know what was up with all the robot sex drive.
Yes.
was
Every
like-
robot was horny
real
as shit.
horny.
Yeah.
And like there was one time
That's
where
really upsetting.
Randy
But
Quaid says I can't have sex with her because she has like 120 volt circuits and I have
She's 220, he's 110.
yeah, and he goes, well, why can't you get an adapter? And he goes, just doesn't feel right.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I think that's
Whoever
a
wrote
condom
this
joke,
movie-
right?
Condom joke,
It's
yeah.
it's a condom joke, but it's also, you know what? It's advocating unsafe sex, guys.
Between robots.
You know,
Maybe it's
throw
like
that
a-
adapter on and get
Why
in
would you
there.
invent robots that could fuck each other? I mean, I guess that has a
Who's
thing.
like our servant / bodyguard robots are boring? What do they need? I don't know, horniness.
Yeah, like what? Let's watch them fuck.
And
I
then
guess,
when
ugh.
Louis Guzman pulls his
What'd you call him?
Louis Guzman?
Louis?
Isn't that his name? What's his
Louis
name?
Guzman.
Luis.
Luis Guzman?
Oh, Lennon's
Sorry.
doing it with the right accent.
Luis.
Okay,
Guzman.
sorry. Luis
Luis.
Guzman and Luis C.K.
Louis and
What's
Tom
that?
Selleck.
and Tom Selleck. Luis Guzman has to jumpstart Randy Quaid at some point.
Yes.
And has to pull like a metal rod out of his zipper to attach a jumper cable to. At which point I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is
And
sexy.
the whole time, Luis Guzman is afraid that Randy Quaid's going to wake up and fuck him to death.
Yeah.
Right.
And because
Go
that's what they
Terminator
say.
on him.
That's what they.
Yeah.
He talks about that fear before. So I was thinking we'd see some of that.
That's
By the
a
way, can we
real,
even-
and you were
those
excited for it, I bet.
episodes?
Yeah, of course.
Just FYI, they were like dead,
That's for your
right?
information.
Yes.
They died.
They
They
ran
ran
out
out
of
of
oxygen.
air, and then they should have died because that was like
I believe
2
they
minutes.
did die.
I mean,
But
here-
then they were woken back up with just the
Yeah,
breath
with
of
magic,
oxygen.
with magic stuff.
Well,
magic.
we didn't
let's
see.
even just talk about this scene. Their car blows up. Their amazing
God.
car, which is being piloted by John Cleese, which we'll
Why
get
do
to.
all futuristic space cars look like old-timey cars
The
from
same
the like 1930s?
reason that all the women had 40s hairstyles.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Yeah.
Because they
the
had there
moon,
was like
the moon
a
is going on a
retro
different.
It's a retro angle.
So
What was
basically,
John
wait,
Cleese-
their
I'm sorry.
Everything
car,
was doing
their
it.
car is blown up, and then Rosario Dawson's like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do? We don't have food or
They're
water."
in spacesuits.
They're in
like
spacesuits.
out on the surface of the moon now.
Right.
And he's like, "Well, don't worry about food or water because we're gonna run out of air sooner than later." And they die because they run out of air. And then all of a sudden comes the space Winnebago
Driven
with
by Guzman.
Louis Guzman. Like
Louis.
it is this is not even a first draft of the movie. This is like kind of an outline that was like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
no
yeah.
one ever even looked at or gave no. It's like it was like morning pages. This is morning pages. Like
And then
yeah,
somebody-
and then he comes.
This is the artist's way.
Or it's like somebody.
People were journaling this movie. Somebody journaled this
I feel like
movie.
people skipped by it and probably got dailies and were like, "Wait, what the fuck? Did they just die?
Yeah.
Did they just die in the fucking
Oh,
movie?"
no, don't worry though. We've established that no one travels on this side of the moon, but we'll definitely make a guy in a random.
Yeah, well, just have a guy
Winnebago come by.
drive by and give him a little bit of oxygen, and guess what? They're fine.
That was
back.
that was the best song. The song he was listening to.
That
Oh,
was
yeah.
good.
There's a lot of amazingly bad hip hop. It's like somebody tried to whoever was doing the music were like, let's combine it. It's hip hop, but it's old school. So it's like everything is a mixture of it's like
Soft.
brown. Like that's what I feel like. It's like oh yeah, we'll mix red and blue and we'll get brown.
Well, I
Everything in that
felt like
movie is bad.
everything in this movie, the music especially, but like the costuming and everything was like, okay, let's take what people are super into right now and then think about how it might be future-ish.
Yeah,
Like,
to just
what-
cut a hole out of her, just the
Yes.
bottom part of her
Like,
pants.
well, how's it going to be like just crazy future moon music?
Well, I mean, I think the best future vision was when they go to pay him $10 million, and all the dollar bills are
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boom. Still works. The joke still works.
Killing it.
What about moon dancing? The first
Oh,
one.
yeah, the moon
What the
dance.
fuck
yeah.
was that?
Now they paid money for a choreographer. They
Yes.
said,
Yes.
"Come up with a moon dance."
Not only choreographer, those were clearly not just background extras. Those
No,
were dancers.
those were
They got
actual
a bump.
dancers.
Yeah,
Yep.
those were
Extra.
dancers.
Same dancers who I believe used in the space rave in The Matrix 2.
Basically, their moon dance is, I would describe it as punching and
the air.
stepping. Yeah.
And also like this. There's
that
lots
was
of
a lot of
second
angles, a
one.
lot of right angles.
lots of right angle movements.
A lot of perpendicular
Absolutely.
stuff.
And they're not dancing with each other. They're very separate. They're
Yes.
all
Well,
very
because
separate from each
It's
other.
all-
Life on
and
the
if-
moon is lonely.
I
You know,
guess so,
that's-
and you have to don't touch. Like
No.
you got to be just like you
It's
don't
very
get too close.
mechanical.
Yes, it is. It's like
Very
everybody's
chemical.
a robot. Robot.
Robot.
Guys, I can't talk today.
Did you guys like the smart water ad that Eddie Murphy stands
Yep.
in front of?
Yeah.
When they're giving some information, they stand in front of a smart water ad.
Lasso.
Wait, can we get back to what was John Cleese's role in that car? Like,
All right, so
what
John
was
Cleese
his
was the butler
function?
of the car, but he was
He
not
was
a robot.
car butler.
He didn't provide any information to further
He
the
was a
plot.
hologram.
No.
essentially.
I'm fairly certain he shot that part in his own house in London.
Yeah.
They didn't
iPhone.
require
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
They didn't
Go
even
to the
really
set.
put him in costume. He's not even in a butler costume. He's in like an okay suit.
He found like an old cap and put it on and just put himself on.
At a certain point, Randy Quaid, he is John Cleese is a hologram or a video
So
screen.
He's not a person.
Yeah.
is
He's not
what
a
I'm
person.
asking. Okay.
He's a hologram or a video screen, whatever, who's like, you're not the owner of this car. You can't drive this car. I'm calling the police. Randy
really good
Quaid,
John
thank
Cleese
you.
impression.
By the way, thank you so much.
You should audition
The
for
Minister
SNL.
of Silly Walks. Okay, listen. Then Randy Quaid points a gun at the computer screen
Yeah.
and is like, we got to get out of here. And he's like, okay. Like,
You can't kill a hologram.
What?
The
What happened?
Hologram should have no fear of mortality.
Of course.
Boy, that
But I
was a
guess
really
if
deep
robots are
statement.
horny,
Yeah.
I wish I was a hologram.
That's a lost Philip K. Dick novel, I think. A hologram should have no fear of mortality.
And then they have these like terrible ads throughout all the like thing. Like they sometimes do these overhead shots of like Moon Village or whatever they're in, Little America, and they're not funny nor are they interesting. Like one is need lumbar support? We'll replace your spine with a lunar lumbar support.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's not going for a joke. It's maybe that's in the future. I don't
Stuff like
know.
that to me was all like, ugh, you know what? We need all of these big establishing shots of the world that we created and spent hundreds of millions of dollars on, but it's boring. Let's ADR some like advertisements and then they wrote those lines, which were horrible.
I realized I started to feel insane halfway through the movie because there's no sunlight. In
No.
this movie.
It's
There
dark.
feels it is dark the entire
Yeah.
time.
It's like when you go to
night lasts
Vegas
2
and you start to
I
feel
felt
sick
crazy.
to your stomach
Yes.
because it's a smell of. It's almost like
The movie gave me seasonal affective disorder.
It did. I have sad. I have it.
I have sad.
You mean sads?
I can have sad.
You know what else this movie made me feel? A certain sickness that I've only felt when I watched Howard the Duck. It had a
That's
similar
a good
feel.
comparison.
Oh
actually.
wow,
It's
yeah.
And what is that? Is it the time
It's the
was
pops
Howard
of
Duck
color.
Yeah, it's like those big, bold. Like I remember it very clearly when she brings him at one point lunch, and every item on the tray, from the glasses to everything, is so brightly colored and crazy looking that I was like, that is perfectly the problem with this
But
movie.
again, I maintain that in 2002, the production designer should have had a better aesthetic than this.
It was the same guy as Cool as Ice.
It was?
Oh.
No, it wasn't.
That makes
But it
total
might as
sense.
well have been.
The director was the same director who directed City Slickers.
Yeah, City Slickers.
I don't know.
One of
I
my
remember
favorite
enjoying
movies.
that film.
I love City Slickers.
Yeah.
And that, so
I didn't know that.
how
Mighty
does
Joe
this
Young
happen?
as well.
But and Tremors
Was
4.
that about a gorilla?
His career.
And Tremors 1.
Yeah, Tremors 1. He kind of
Which
went
is,
down
cult,
that.
which is a
Young
cult
Reba
favorite. Don't people
McEntire.
like
Wow.
Tremors? Worms that
people-
come out of the...
Yeah.
Aren't people still into Tremors, guys?
Guys.
We all like Tremors.
Guys, no, but seriously, those people are on board
All
for
I remember
Tremors.
about Tremors is that my friend Jenny started fucking around with my boyfriend at the time, Tom Hall.
when
It was
Tremors
during
came
a
out?
youth group lock-in.
While you were watching Tremors?
She got
Yeah,
fingered
it started-
while
It might not have been Jenny. It might
He
have
was
been
your boyfriend?
Francis. What?
He was your boyfriend and he fingered someone during Tremors in a youth lock-in?
Jessica
I
said
just
the word
said finger.
Well,
Okay.
either way, that
To
would be
be
the best.
fair,
I don't know
That
what
would actually be
happened.
the best
I'm
way
sorry
to.
if fingered is the
fair.
wrong
That
word.
To
church
get
line. I
fingered
don't
during
know what
Tremors
happened.
might be the best
Thing that could ever
experience.
happen.
You say,
Yeah, it's pretty
well, that's
amazing.
the thing. As the worm's coming out of the fucking ground, you know where the worm is going into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? A wiener in her mouth.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Booge.
sex scenes, the moment when Sweaty Murphy kisses
Sweaty
Rosario,
Murphy?
Sweaty Murphy kisses Rosario Dawson is the strangest.
Oh, yeah.
They kiss for a while because he's hiding from one of the mafia guys.
Right. And
We never see his angle on the kiss, by the way. Only
It's
hers.
by the way, I bet it's his body double did that.
You
kiss.
can
Right,
you
because
can you
in
can
his-
see how many times.
Because they never cut to him.
By the way,
kissing
didn't he
her.
do? He did another movie with Rosario Dawson. Go ahead, yeah.
But anyway, then she finally pulls away from the kiss and she gives like a 15-second reaction take, which is just that her socks have been blown
Yeah.
off. Now, this kiss, there's no mouth movement. It's like just like two mouths have been like puzzle
Like
pieces.
old
Yes,
timey
it is
kissing.
really
together.
upsetting.
Okay,
There's
wait.
nothing happening in
Whoa,
this
whoa, whoa,
kiss.
whoa, whoa! Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Isn't that how you kiss?
Oh, God.
Wait. Whoa, whoa, guys! Whoa! Stop
No,
the
but in
clock.
all seriousness,
Whoa,
is
whoa.
this how you kiss?
This is how you kiss.
It was-
Guys, you mash your mouth together.
Yeah.
And then wait.
And
It's a-
You count.
you think
it's
you
such-
don't have.
I
There's
push
no
my
movement.
lips to her lips. I count to 60. I pull away and I watch her come.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my!" I mean, she was
She reacted.
floored
Oh
by
my
that
God.
kiss.
Another romantic moment that I really enjoyed was when he went to the Remember, he went and got champagne.
Oh, yeah.
And literally 2 seconds later, he turned around and she was asleep.
Asleep. Dead
Right.
asleep.
John Cleese had
Yes,
said,
that was very sweet.
now you guys are going to get busy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
You're going to
You know what
have
was-
your way with her.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and he was like, oh, she's asleep, and put his coat over her.
He also very awkwardly, I don't know why I remember this, but in the final scene where she realizes that he has killed bad Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
And then he is the real Eddie Murphy. He kissed her on the top of the shoulder. He was like,
I missed that.
he went,
to
did I
me-
scare you? And then like kissed her
yeah,
on
they
the
do
there
that
was
weird
something
hug.
To
that
me, I
was
didn't
very
want them to
fatherly.
get together because it was like that was his best friend's daughter.
Yeah.
Like that's what
He
they
should have
established.
felt fatherly and not
No, wait a second.
fuckerly.
Talk about
Just-
Eddie Murphy's mother for a hot second.
Pam Grier?
Yeah.
She was phenomenal.
Pam Grier. I mean, this movie
She
is
brought her own wardrobe.
Is that her
and
own
did her
ombre-
hair-
an
she did her
ombre
own hair
sweater.
and makeup, and she brought her own wardrobe. I hope we're all clear.
Absolutely,
on
she
yes,
did
that.
I'm
that.
clear about that.
And her own
Yeah.
weapons. And then she just would disappear from scenes that she had just been running past.
Oh, yes.
in.
Yes.
Remember that?
Probably because they couldn't locate her on set. They're like, we can't get. Last time we saw her, she was at craft service.
Let's just keep shooting. Let's pretend like she just wasn't here, I guess.
Yeah. Just keep on going.
And that old cop that she was in love with that she would never marry.
Peter Boyle?
Peter Boyle?
They never followed through on that.
No.
I
He
was
wanted to
killed.
see them get together though before
Oh, he was killed and then she was so
I feel like
upset.
they shot that scene and we just never saw
They
it.
never
though.
followed
I would love to
through-
have seen a sex scene between Pam Grier and
Peter
Boyle?
Peter Boyle.
Oh.
That would have made that movie worth it.
Like, can I ask you
Everybody-
guys a question for real? If you lived in a
Absolutely.
future world in which you had like a robot bodyguard or a robot maid or whatever, would you have sex in front of the robot?
Well,
No.
I thought
This
we
is
were
an
actually
earnest question because,
because
they were
they-
always people were always almost getting it on while the robot was there.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think that was. Here's what was weird about that. I thought we were setting up that when the robot was being charged,
That
they
he was
could
not
hear
conscious.
things, but they didn't understand what they were hearing. Right?
no, because
that
he
was-
says
That was
I heard
only
that
when they were
toaster
getting.
comment.
That was
Yeah.
only when they were getting a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they
When
were
he was reading,
transcribing
yeah.
a phone
I see.
call.
Because I thought what we
And that's
were
only for the
building
68
toward
models.
was a sex scene between Rosaria Dawson
Uh-huh.
and Murphs, which the robot would have witnessed. And they would have thought, obviously he didn't hear
yeah.
anything, but then he would have.
But the reason that Murphy didn't get rid
You
of
really thought about this.
Never
Yeah.
happened.
his robot was because he kept 20 years of secrets. Remember? He didn't want to get
Right.
rid of. He
He
said,
did 'cause
"Okay,
he knew
Oh,
all
yeah,
of his
yeah,
good
yeah.
here's all my
hiding
smuggle
spots.
secrets."
Smuggle secrets.
That's
he-
also the name of a
Smuggle
softcore
secrets.
you guys,
porn.
here's
you
a
know what I'm
very.
gonna do- you know what I'm going to do to you later?
I'm gonna smuggle secret
gonna-
the shit out of you.
I'm going to give you all my smuggle secrets.
You guys, here's a serious question.
Another one?
Yeah.
All right.
Did the bad guys in the movie want to just build casinos on the moon
Yes.
and get gambling there, or also want a clone on the moon?
No, I think it was just
Cloning was
secrets.
just-
The clone was because they knew that Eddie Murphy could be a good club runner.
How did they know that from when he was in prison?
No idea.
Okay, but
How did
here's
they
my
know from
question,
prison
though.
that he would? This is a huge problem.
That's
Yeah,
why I
How
thought
did they
he was
know?
already a
How
club
did they
owner.
know
Of course
in
you did. Of
prison
course
when they
you
made a
did.
clone of him that he would then go on to run a club?
They just thought he was a good smuggler, and this guy would have a good. He'd be good. He'd be a puppet. He'd be a puppet. He'd be real good. It was a leap of faith. But what they didn't predict was that he did have that.
That he would
gene.
have a mind of his own?
Yeah.
But I guess
exactly.
what I'm asking though is, was cloning in the in the world of this movie, were a lot of people cloned?
No, I don't
Well,
think
yeah,
so.
I mean,
Cloning is
James
illegal.
Moore's wife
James
cloned.
cloned his wife.
And so was his old partner.
But cloning is illegal, remember?
Yeah, it was banned.
It was made illegal, and that doctor had to go out of business, and then Ileana Douglas had to do it on the sly.
But also Peter Boyle's. He goes, Peter Boyle visits one of his old cop friends in like a mini scene where he's
Yep.
like, oh man, in the old days, wasn't it good to be partners? And he's like, yeah, but I'm a clone. He didn't say that, but then he kills him. But he's a clone too. But I want to talk about the Alec Baldwin scene.
The
that
Robert
you
De Niro,
think,
the Robert De Niro scene.
you think that Alec Baldwin is going to be the big bad guy of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like he finds out that this mafia guy. The plot is incomprehensible. It is like the worst Raymond Chandler novel. It's like a Raymond Chandler novel where like certain pages were ripped out, so you can't make it make sense. But he
Written
finds
by like somebody who normally writes like a Nickelodeon TV show.
exactly. And so now Alec Baldwin pops up as this mafia guy who talks about making gambling, then pushes a guy down the stairs
On camera.
and then also pulls a reporter close to him and is like, "Hey, honey, you want to ask me questions? Come to my hotel room later in the night."
On camera. On a news camera.
Yeah, it was all on Court TV, live on Court TV, because again, Court TV has been huge in the future.
Yep, 2087, Court TV.
What happened
We
to
never see Alec Baldwin
Guys,
again.
I feel really upset right now because
boy.
I don't know. I might have fallen asleep during the reveal of Eddie Murphy's clone. And here is my question. I
Yeah.
thought that perhaps Alec Baldwin's brain had been put into Eddie Murphy's
Yeah,
body.
that's what happened.
Is that what happened?
No.
We
No.
blew it. you just blew it.
No.
What happened to Alec Baldwin? I thought he was in charge. He's Rex.
Uh-huh.
What happened to him?
He's not.
No,
Rex.
he's not Rex.
Eddie Murphy is
Rex.
Rex Carter.
I don't understand what's happening
Eddie
right
Murphy
now.
was fighting himself the entire movie.
I feel scared right now.
Yeah, I know.
I feel scared and upset right now. What happened? Who was he then?
All right, so what?
He was the
describe
Earth
end.
version of Rex Carter.
Let her describe what happened to the
Yeah,
end.
what do you think happened?
I don't know.
Break
That's
it down
my
for
point.
us.
I
Break
mean,
it
You
down.
saw two Eddie Murphys, and what did you think at that point?
I thought that
when
Rex-
Murph on Murph, the
I
Murph
thought
on Murph
that
fight
Rex-
broke out.
That
Okay.
Rex
You thought it
Carter
was a
had
thinner,
somehow
nuttier professor.
gotten into the brain of the Eddie Murphy, so that the whole time he was looking to kill himself.
His own, as himself or as Rex Carter?
No, that Rex. I don't know.
So
I
you
don't
were
under-
basically what I'm understanding is at some point in
I
that
thought
last
Rex Carter
scene,
became
you
Eddie
thought bad Eddie Murphy was going to like unzip himself
Yes,
and
yes.
be Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
Here's what-
I
this
Or I
is-
thought he was living inside of him.
This is the way. This is the
Like
way I
Face Off.
understand it. This is the way I understand
Wow.
this movie.
living with inside of him.
This is the first time that genuine "how did this get made" confusion has almost reduced a guest to tears.
If you guys could see me right now, I've taken off all my clothes and I'm huddling, I'm
It is.
shivering in the corner.
And it is not cool.
This is how I understand it. Basically, Alec Baldwin was a mafia guy, and he was
How
like,
did you know? From the footage
On
of
Earth,
it.
the footage.
though,
And he's
on
like,
Earth.
"Oh, hey, these guys is crazy. I'm the rubber to blah blah." You know.
I mean, it is like it's like it's like a great Alec Baldwin on SNL sketch.
Yeah.
And he's like, and so he decided, okay, I gotta get control of the moon, but how I'm gonna do it? I'm gonna clone a guy who's a really great smuggler, get him up there, and he's gonna work for me. And then he did that, cloned Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's like, hey, guess what? Alec Baldwin, you get out of here. I don't like you. And he shot him into space. And then Eddie Murphy grew his power and then decided to hurt the other Eddie Murphy, hurt himself because he wanted to buy
None
his
of what
own
you're
club.
saying makes any sense.
Okay, so I
I'm
agree.
not stupid.
No, you're
I'm
not
not a
stupid.
stupid person.
I
Well-
think here's the other point I'd like to
'Cause there
make
is
is
another-
that
yeah.
Eddie Murphy, the good Eddie Murphy, really only had one club, Pluto Nash, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like he had an empire.
No, but he had the
the
only
most-
good club
The most
in...
profitable club in Little
How much
America.
money how many Hillaries do you think that
It was
club
worth 10 million,
raking
Hillary.
in?
It was
10
worth
million.
10 million bucks.
That's what they were going to offer
10
him.
million is not
So
that
when-
much.
Not much.
But
for the-
in
Here's the thing.
2087, how
10
much?
million is not much now.
But
Never
that's
mind
what they
in
were offering him
2087.
to buy it
I
off
know.
of him. So how much, like nightly, do you think he was clearing?
Interesting.
Do you know
well,
what I mean?
are there
Yeah.
taxes on the moon? Do we know?
There are no taxes.
For him to walk
Gambling
away,
is
for
legal.
him to walk away from that, they $10 million.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem insulted by the 10 million. He was more insulted by the fact they were offering to buy him out.
Okay, I feel like I now have what I thought was the understanding of the end of the movie that
Yeah.
I now think might also be wrong.
Okay.
What do you
Let's
got? What do you got?
tell us what you think.
When it's
happened at the
revealed
end.
that Eddie Murphy is the bad
Eddie,
guy,
right.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
He has still the name, right?
Right. He is.
no, he's Rex,
Rex Carter.
Yeah,
Rex Carter,
he has
okay?
Rex Carter. Okay.
So this is what I couldn't understand because I was like, oh, what he's going to do is kill Pluto Nash and then become Pluto Nash because he is him. Then he can he can have ownership of the club and he doesn't have to buy it. He doesn't have to do anything because he actually looks exactly like
You
the guy
thought
he
he
wants
was
to
just
be.
going to sort of assume the
yes,
role
but-
of Pluto Nash.
And then
But-
he was like, but I'm going to call it Planet Rex and or Club Rex instead of Club Pluto or whatever.
Yeah, so
and then I was like,
upset about
okay,
all
well
the
that
wood.
doesn't make sense now because if you called it Club Pluto, now you're just taking over and then building on whatever it is you want to do. You can make it the club a casino because you are being him.
But
that
here-
was not his plan.
Right.
That actually
No, that was not
that
his
is a
plan.
better plan.
Thank you, Paul.
I think that is a better plan. But here's the thing:
Let's do a remake.
No one's seen Eddie Murphy as Rex Carter.
Yes.
Rex Carter
Except
is
for
on,
one person, James Rebhorn, right?
Yeah, James Rebhorn. Which why was he in this movie?
Why was anybody in this?
So
movie?
we're to understand that Rex Carter was just living in the penthouse of this hotel,
Never going outside.
never going outside, never seeing
Lunar Beach.
anyone
Lunar Beach,
in
guys.
Lunar Beach except for James Rebhorn.
Exactly.
So how did Rex Carter come into existence? He
because
was a clone of
Alec Baldwin
cloned him.
cloned him when Eddie Murphy got in his appendix surgery
Here's-
back in jail.
okay, here's a question
And then,
about
and then what happened to WDW?
Well,
or
what happened
whatever?
was once Eddie Murphy clone found out that they were using him as a puppet. He's like, I don't like to be used as a puppet, so I blasted them into space. So
When
he-
did that happen? Did
Oh,
I
wait,
see
I
that
missed that.
scene?
oh, he said that. He goes, I blasted
No,
them
that's
into
a
space.
scene we should have seen.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Show
That's
don't
somewhere.
tell.
You don't
St.
show
Clair,
don't tell.
show don't tell.
I'm not an experienced writer, but what I do know is you don't say a big plot point like I need to see that.
Yeah,
I
I
had no
see
idea that
too. I need a
happened.
visual on that one.
Well, yeah, you
So-
needed a flashback.
but-
Or maybe he could
Here's
have
a
had him
question about-
cryogenically, like bring back the Chihuahua, call back to the Chihuahua.
Yeah.
We could have had him in a freezer.
That made me very sad.
Ooh, yeah,
made
that's
me
They
upset.
cryogenically freeze chihuahuas to bring them to the planet.
So when you clone someone, like this movie's
Just say it. Like,
This
so
movie
we
has the most
understand, though,
questions we've
but
ever
are we
had.
to understand that when
hands
they
down the worst
cloned-
movie we've ever done, right?
When they cloned Pluto Nash, that Rex Carter arrived just in the same age, same body, same everything, with
Yes.
all of the memories.
So I
of
believe
Pluto Nash.
Rex Carter is as much as he is identical to Eddie Murphy, he is only about 5 years old.
Actually,
Right.
yes. And
Yes.
what I'm realizing now, though,
He has all the memories
he
of
would
the
be-
40-year-old Eddie
He
Murphy.
would be over 7 years old because they did
Sorry,
not happen when he was in
yes,
prison.
yes. I'm sorry, you're right. I
Wait, you
forgot.
guys
be at
think?
least
Do you
8
guys
years
think
old.
though that
Yeah.
they shot a scene of actually seeing his appendix come out and seeing him in prison for a while?
No.
So, oh really? Because while I was watching it, I thought they were never going to start opening on Jay Moore. We probably
That was a
should have
very,
seen,
very low
Yeah.
stakes scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should have seen him in prison for a while, serving his prison time,
Well,
like
wait, but-
Jean Valjean style.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
of
then
course.
If they had
Of
made
course.
this movie more like Les Mis,
Well,
we wouldn't be here right
the
now.
mo-
seen the appendix come out, and then we should have seen him out.
But then that would have ruined the line later, which was, "Hey, remember when you were in prison and you got your appendix out, Eddie Murphy?" Yeah, of course. Guy, well,
You're
we
right.
made a clone of you, and then blah blah, and that
Also,
it
the
would have
other line
taken
in
away
the-
that monologue that explained all of that.
I did that when I
That's true.
auditioned for grad school in acting. I did that monologue.
Oh my god, that's so awesome!
Yeah, I didn't get in.
You didn't?
No.
Shocking.
No.
This,
But
this
wait a
really.
second. Let me just. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, please.
So, but we've the comparison that we have in the movie itself, in the world of the movie, when someone is cloned, they behave exactly the same way because Jay Moore's wife was cloned,
And they
he gets to
speak
say
at
which
the
one's
same
which, and he
time.
says
Right.
who's care, right? And then they speak at the same time. They
They're the
behave. They
same
suck his
person.
dick at the same time, right?
That's why you clone
I wish.
a wife.
Do you think they shot a scene where they sucked his dick at the same time?
I think they wanted to.
Because I would have watched that over and over again.
So basically, what is this guy? How is this guy? How is
He's
this
not
second
a clone.
Eddie?
You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Something
Have
went
his
wrong in
own-
that cloning.
have his
Yes.
own
Why does he
brain.
have free will? Basically.
Now, can I ask this? I really I don't understand anything about this movie, but were the bad clone Eddie Murphy?
Yes.
Was he currently becoming very
Carter.
popular in the like building that popular casino while Pluto Nash was doing his own club? And why didn't they know about it? Is Lunar Beach so far away from where
well,
Pluto
Lunar
Nash
Beach is on the
was?
other side of the moon.
But don't they?
But no one has
communicate?
no one's
No one ever
seen
saw-
Bad Eddie Murphy. They
Yeah.
don't know. He's just
But
a
did
name.
Eddie Murphy think to himself, "Well, that's weird. There's another. What was it called? Pluto?
No, it was
something?
a
No, no, no.
casino,
No, no.
and it was all Rex
Eddie
Carver.
Murphy-
I see.
That was the whole big reveal at the end. It was like, who is Rex Carver? And then the chair turned.
And then it was him.
It was Eddie Murphy.
I
as
thought
Rex
it was
Carver.
going to be Ileana Douglas.
I thought it was going to be Alec Baldwin because they set him up.
So
as,
did I.
No,
That
but
was-
you
Oh,
could
that's
see that it was a
interesting.
little person.
And you also
yeah.
thought, Paul, because you said it out loud, that you thought it was going to be Jay Moore.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought Jay Moore.
I thought Jay Moore at a certain
Did
point.
anybody
been
else
Jay Moore.
notice that when Luis Guzman was at the casino and he was supposed to be surrounded by like gorgeous
Beautiful
women?
light-
They may have just gone
I
to the
will
city
t-
walk and gathered up some women they found
Yeah.
and put them in the movie because
I
they
will-
They
ran out
could
of
have
money.
shot this entire movie in a Bubba Gump shrimp factory.
I will. It looked like they did.
It looks like it
What
looks
was that?
like
What
that.
was
The
that
movie
restaurant in
cost-
Times Square? Like 20,000.
Oh, Mars 2012.
Mars 2012, yeah.
Mars 2012. Have you ever been to New York?
Yes.
That restaurant has better production value.
Yes.
But
And
the
the
movie
actors are
cost
better.
$100 million
No.
to make.
Yes.
$100 million,
Most
and
of
it
that
was
is Eddie
made-
Murphy's
and
budget.
At the
opening
box
weekend
office.
$2 million.
That's insane.
Do you think Eddie Murphy
Should have killed himself
demanded
after
twice?
this.
Do you think he demanded twice his fee since he was cloned in the movie?
I have to say, I am not. Did he get? This is the beginning.
I wonder about that maid. That maid played like 20 different maids in
Yeah,
every
but
Yes.
that
scene.
was the same maid from the hotel.
Yeah,
yeah, it's the same girl.
Wow. So you think all those models of those robots look exactly alike?
Yes.
But what about
But then
Randy
why didn't we
Quaid?
see more Randy Quaids?
Because he was a 63.
Yeah, because he's an old model.
Can I just say though? I think that regardless of how bad this movie was, I didn't feel like Eddie Murphy was phoning it in. He didn't seem.
He was
know.
acting.
He was acting.
No, he
But it
was
was
acting.
not. I will say this: it was not in his wheelhouse.
No,
No.
because
We're asking him.
I
to do.
Well, I don't know what they were even asking because
wanted
it's not
that
an action
I wanted
movie.
the
It's not.
laugh.
A, I want,
he
yeah.
was doing
wanted-
a lot of naturalistic acting,
Yep.
a lot
Yes.
of lower energy stuff.
Yes.
which I don't know.
Well, at
we're
the
not
sa-
coming to. We're not paying our tickets to see low energy.
Well,
Eddie
also,
Murphy.
like, this is, if I'm not mistaken, like the era of Nutty Professor and like
Yes.
his big kind of crazy
Yes. So
roles.
And I'll tell you what, there were some shots when he just smiles and laughs even a little where I found myself very charmed.
Yes.
I agree. I was there
Very
with you.
me
I was
too.
like,
And I did
oh.
really feel. Oh, there's a great moment. Only because I was obsessed with the movie as a Star Wars ripoff in a lot of ways.
That's very kind
The
to this
lunar
movie.
chase. He's basically Han Solo, who's a smuggler. All these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the beginning, in the first big shootout, she runs in and she screams, "It's a trap."
Yeah.
She
Which
did.
is like a total Star
Yes.
Wars line.
I will
was like,
say-
I was like, I wonder if they're making this, if they're doing this on
maybe.
purpose,
I don't
just
think-
like burying these little Star Wars references.
I will say, just to put it in perspective, this is a very sad time in Eddie Murphy's career. This movie came out. These are the movies that came out roughly around Pluto Nash.
Probably.
Dr. Dolittle 2, Showtime, Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro, I Spy, Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson, and then it was
Norbert?
Haunted Mansion.
Oh no.
And then I guess he didn't really get back on track. And then Dreamgirls came out.
was this around the time of his arrest?
No.
Ooh.
No, that's. I think
Let's
that's.
get a date on that.
Yeah, I'm
I'd
gonna
love
get that
to.
right
I think
Could
that's
you access
earlier.
the cloud?
Yes, I'm gonna get on that right now.
Access the
Right?
cloud if you
Computer.
could. I'll share it.
Computer. Search for criminal masterminds, Earthlings. Initials
97.
WZW.
97, he was arrested.
But it's not that. That's
97.
5 years. That's not a long time.
I don't think he was bringing that
So you
baggage
think-
in.
Yeah,
I
where do you
did
think
because
that
I
left
felt
him?
there was sadness behind his eyes. That's what I saw.
You know what? I
I
gotta
think he
say
was
the
trapped in this
first
movie.
the first scene when his friend again, did he know Jay Moore before?
Yeah,
that?
they
Yes,
He'd
they were old
they
friends. They
were
grew
old
up
friends.
together.
Okay, fine. But that first scene when his best friend's about to get acid
And he
poured
didn't
down
care.
his
He
throat,
was just playing it
It
cool.
was so casual.
he didn't
He
care.
also-
He was
did
very
not
relaxed.
give a
He-
fuck.
Seemed like
You
that
know
was
what's
the game
interesting?
of that scene, though, guys.
This is what I
Everybody-
felt.
Even the gangsters were playing it.
Kind of,
Low
yeah.
stakes.
Was it?
That scene is the best scene in the movie. Everybody's playing it more real. Eddie Murphy is
You're
dressed
right.
in normal clothing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the minute it goes 7 years later, it is as if everybody's in colorful zoot suits. It's like the moon is suddenly Disneyland or a weird.
Like I felt like the first scene was like Barry Levinson could have directed it.
Yes.
You know,
He did.
and then
Very
suddenly,
diner.
and then they fired
Except
him
for the-
and they brought in
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Except for the jug of battery acid. Now, clearly, we did not love this movie, but there are some people who really did, and now it's time for a second opinion. These are reviews from Amazon.com. People who had a different thought about this film. If you want to relax and have fun while eating popcorn, then this is the movie for you.
Politely disagree.
5 stars.
No.
What? I love that because
know
that's
that-
just about having something to do while
you
eating
eat
popcorn.
You don't
Yeah.
need an excuse, by the way.
Yes.
You can
this
eat
is-
it whenever you want.
Nope, this guy thinks it's a...
If you
Get a
want to
bag
have
of smart food. Eat it whenever you want.
If
Eat it
you
in your
want-
car.
already
while
eating
you're eating
popcorn?
it,
If you wanna
while you're eating it,
yeah.
you need to do something.
Well, if you want a secondary activity to your main activity, which
That
is
won't distract
Eating
you from
popcorn.
it.
shoveling popcorn in your fat fucking face, then you could do worse than look at this moving image.
Here's another 5-star review from J. Neil Schulman. Pluto Nash just tells a good, solid, well-plotted near-future science fiction adventure story with a light touch. The sort of story that fans of Heinlein's short stories, It's Great to Be Back, and The Menace from Earth would appreciate. That's
that's
Robert.
true.
Is that-
Yeah. No.
But maybe sci-fi fans, maybe there's something of the serial nature of the.
I don't think
I don't know. This
I mean,
guy
I
goes,
can
I'm a big fan of Star Wars, Spaceballs, and Titan AE. And this goes right on the shelf next to those.
In that, by the way,
Next
that's
to your
the
bottle
perfect
of
order.
lubricant.
That's a perfect order in descending order of great movie to Drek.
I love Spaceballs.
But
Spaceballs is
Titan
number
AE, yeah,
2.
Spaceballs number 2. Star Wars, Spaceballs, Titan AE.
Garbage.
Terrible garbage. And then Pluto Nash. Those movies actually don't share anything in common.
It's like, I love Citizen Kane. I love Caddyshack.
Sea of Love with Al Pacino.
Abduction with Taylor Lautner.
And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days with Kate Hudson.
I enjoy that
Great
movie.
film.
Oh my God.
no, you
that
don't.
movie.
Nobody enjoys that.
Yes, we did enjoy that
Great
movie.
chemistry in that
Any-
movie.
Yeah,
they did.
Can't be denied.
Any final
She'll
thoughts
create
on
that
this?
yellow
Things
dress,
that
remember?
we have not
Gorgeous.
addressed?
Can we just give a shout out to the one-man orchestra joke?
Oh, that was pretty good.
That
great.
was a joke.
Made me smile.
Can we talk about Randy Quaid as a robot, please? Do we have any
Again?
clips of Randy Quaid as the robot
There are
talking?
no clips online for
I'm
me to
telling you
pull.
guys, watch this movie just for the Randy Quaid scenes.
He's
which,
great.
Yeah.
Which you know what he is like? It's like he's a cartoon character in a movie. In the
Yes.
movie, you know what I mean? Like he moves.
He's a human cartoon
He
character.
moves at crazy angles. He speaks with a modulated robot voice.
Probably
You know
works
what? I
with
just
a
found a
clown.
clip. I can maybe I can play
He's
it
bald.
He's bald with like zapper heads things in his
Did
head.
they make him taller than he is?
They-
How
yeah,
tall
they
is
must
Randy
have.
Quaid?
Well, everybody knows Randy Quaid is 6'7".
Is he?
Well, I think
A
that's
promising basketball
That's universally
He's a
known.
tall man, for sure.
career. No, but he looked much. But Eddie Murphy's not a big man.
No, he's
No,
teeny
he's-
tiny.
Yeah, he's a teeny tiny.
I also
person.
liked when Luis Guzman said that Pluto Nash was the Tito Puente of rail hopping.
Yes.
Which is their term for smuggling.
Which I was like, why make that reference? That reference is at this point 100 years old.
Again, they watch Jimmy. Yeah, they're not.
They were watching that Humphrey Bogart. Oh,
Yeah.
that was a nice cut from when
yeah.
that guy got shot and fell
Yes.
down to the Humphrey Bogart movie where the same was happening.
So, no, it's what is that Public Enemy? Is that James Cagney Public Enemy?
Yeah, that was Public. I think that was Public Enemy.
It probably cost a lot to get that clip. That's why they didn't have the money.
That was
for it.
$100 million.
clip, all the money paying Eddie Murphy twice.
Yeah.
And on that clip of James Cagney.
Would you guys recommend people watching this movie? I don't think I
No.
would. I don't think so.
it's not
no.
even fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. It
It's
felt
not-
like homework.
If
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
here's
it
the
did.
thing. At a
It's like, I
certain
gotta get through
I felt
this.
bad for you guys watching. I
at a
was like,
certain point, I was
All
like,
right, we'll
"Fuck,
come
this
back.
is interminable. How much do I have left?" And I'd only been watching 24 minutes.
Yeah.
And I almost burst into tears.
Yeah, I know.
because there is no.
'Cause your
It's only like
your
a-
life is precious. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your moments.
My time is worth more
like
than this.
sands in an hourglass. Those are the
all
days of
right.
our lives.
All
Don't
right.
waste
Oh,
it
boy.
watching
Oh,
Pluto
right.
Nash.
and it's only an hour and 34 minutes. It is not a
Really?
long
It feels
movie.
longer
It
than
feels.
that.
I watched it in 2
Month.
installments.
Oh,
You know what?
Me
It
too.
should have been a TV series.
Yeah.
Well, clearly they
So-
primed it for. I mean, there are more adventures out
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
Just
well,
not one.
we did the work for you on this one. Do not watch this. Do not watch this movie.
know.
Really? Or watch like 10 minutes just to be like, oh, that's why this
But
is so
don't
bad.
watch.
Yeah.
Well, you could watch the beginning since that's the best scene. according to Man's
Yeah.
Focus.
Well, that's
You can hear
no,
the-
it's not the best scene as much as it is just like the scene that seems most I don't know. Like,
That's where you'll also be the most confused because you're going to say, is this a drama? Is this a comedy?
Yeah.
What's
And
going
one
on?
last
And you'll
thing,
ask that for
one
the
last
entire
thing,
time.
Paul. When Eddie Murphy gets all the fixins for a martini when Rosario Dawson brings it up, and he doesn't make a martini in the glass. He just drinks the
Yeah.
vodka and
He makes
vermouth.
it in his mouth.
Was that a joke?
Well,
Of course.
He didn't chew the olive. Also, he swallowed that thing whole.
Yeah, Eddie.
I was
I have a
concerned
question.
about-
There were 40 olives
I have
in
a
that
question.
jar,
So they
too.
get to the hotel. Right? They get to Lunar Beach. They check into the hotel, and the guy's like, and they get tickets to see Jay Moore perform.
Then they get recognized.
Yes, then, no, not yet. First,
Robot gets
first the guy's like, well, it's black ties, but we have rentals available, right? So they cut to them, and they're in black tie attire, which I assume means
She has
they
a dress
rented
that
it.
fits her like a glove.
I assume they rented this stuff.
Wow.
And then when Eddie Murphy gets brought up to see Rex Gardner, or whatever his name is,
Rex Gardner.
Rex
Carter.
Rex Carter. Carver.
John Carter.
John Carver from Mars. When Eddie Murphy gets brought up, he and Rex are wearing identical clothes.
Yes.
And why is
So
that?
do we presume that the guy who's the criminal mastermind rented his tux as well?
No, he makes everybody. He goes, well, look, I'm going to wear the same tux every day, and they're like, oh well, let's. I think he's like.
How do they wind up in the same clothes?
To me, it's a Steve.
Because they have to.
They also
have
make
to.
a reference, though, to the fact that he can afford to get his own tux. He doesn't have to rent it, right?
To me, I saw him like
they
the
did?
Steve Harvey of the moon. I saw him as like he has a line of tuxes.
Right,
and he's
but
like,
how
you're
does-
going to rent
He
these
has,
tuxes
yeah,
I'm
you
going to
gotta-
wear in the office.
He knows
Everything's
what's going to
green.
happen
Yeah.
because he has access to everything in Eddie Murphy's brain.
What?
So
No, he
could
doesn't.
have
clone.
Whoa. No.
Yes,
He doesn't
no,
know the
no.
future.
Nobody said. He said he has
He
access.
can remember. He
He has all the
remembered.
memories.
Yes, but he
Only
can remember.
from before appendix surgery.
Guys, there is no
No, because
reason
he was
why
like-
they are in, other than they need it for shoot him, no shoot him, no shoot him.
The
There's
classic
no reason.
vaudeville routine.
You guys, you don't think that Rex Carter had a gazillion cameras in that hotel and knew that Eddie Murphy, real
swearing.
good Eddie Murphy, Pluto Nash, was heading up that way
and had
What?
rented
and
a
was
tux.
wearing that
had
tux
rented
And was
a
like,
tux.
quick, get me
Get
that
me that
tux.
tux
Well,
for
it's not-
dramatic
Why?
effect. 'Cause
Get
this
me
is gonna
that
be
tux.
great when I turn around in this chair.
Get me that tux in case we get in a scenario where a gun is loose and both of us are standing there and we need to do one of those classic shoot him, no shoot hims. Like, what? Who? How? Wait, what? No, they should.
It's never going to make any sense. It was the way. It's everything about this movie. If it's not lazy, it's
offensive.
It's offensive on so many levels.
The
misogynistic.
guns look like super soakers.
If you've
guns-
ever,
and the guns
if you've
are like,
ever
pew,
written,
pew.
They're like plastic.
I've read like short stories by like second graders that make more linear
Yes,
sense in
yeah.
this movie. But so do not go see this movie
Ever.
But do tune in to Best Friends Forever, which is Wednesday nights,
Can't wait.
8:30, 7:30 Central. Who
It
has
takes place on the moon, ironically enough.
Really?
Yeah,
Now you
it's
have-
two best
yeah.
friends who live on the
It's
moon.
more
you
of
guys
the
are trying to open
adventures
a
of
club.
Pluto Nash, right?
You guys are trying to open up a
the
club.
further adventures of
It's called
Pluto
Best
Nash.
Friends Forever.
Pluto Nash and
Colon.
Bruno.
Yeah, and Lennon and I got zoot suits made to fit us like a glove.
Is there a riot?
like a second skin.
Is there a riot
Yes,
in any of the
yes.
episodes?
I know
Oh.
that you finished your first season, but I would like to ask that if you do a second season, you should have a club owner come in, Pluto Nash come
Great.
in.
I love
Done
it.
and
And yeah, like, do you have a local bar that you go to in the
Yeah,
show?
of course.
What's it called?
It's going to be called Club Pluto. We never.
Please.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
You're
That's
gonna
a
want
great
to
Please
idea.
call it
that.
Club
You're going to want to
Pluto,
ADR
please.
that in.
Also, I do love that his name is Pluto and they're on the moon, not
Everybody else's
Guys-
names are like Dina and
Yeah.
Tony.
He wasn't
and
born on the moon, right? Eddie
No, I
Murphy?
think he
No, but they
Born on
hate.
Earth.
But they talk about how they want to go back to Earth. It seems like it would be
I don't
easy to
think
go
he-
back.
But he also
I think he was born on. I think
he grew up on the moon.
Up on the moon.
Remember,
Yeah.
he shows her the stars through the car window, and he's like, "When I was a kid, I used to come out here and look at the stars and try
Yeah,
and count
and then
them."
when he went to Earth, all he wanted to do was get back
Come
to
back.
the moon.
Yeah.
But then he hates not being on the he hates being on the moon because he can't see the moon from the ground.
Where did they get their vitamin D? Is what I want to know.
You know what we
Pills.
didn't talk about?
2 weeks. 2 weeks of darkness. 2 weeks of light.
You know what we didn't
Right?
talk about at
Is
all?
that right?
Yes,
When-
that's what he said.
Yes,
Night
he
lasts
said.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We were just in the darkness part.
Oh man.
Guys, can we talk
Smuggle
about
it in from Puerto
the
Rico.
varying degrees of gravity that affected them throughout the movie?
Oh,
The
I
laws
have my
Shoots her out of the
favorite.
bathroom. He goes up, and then she's just like floats back down to the ground.
The
Is she up
laws
on
of
gravity
physics
boots?
do not apply.
Sometimes
to
they
this
can
movie.
just walk around outside, but sometimes they float away. Sometimes things they throw just float around,
That's
and sometimes
true.
they can throw them at each. It was like I was like, is there gravity here? What
Okay,
is
my
happening?
favorite part is Rosario Dawson puts on the spacesuit. She puts it on and goes wee, and she just jumps up. And she's like, "That was fun."
Yeah.
Like that's the extent of her exploring weightlessness.
$100 million, and there were no more like zero gravity scenes.
The
No,
biggest
there
deal-
was. There was the big shootout, zero gravity scene.
By the way, every gun
Yeah,
in this
but-
movie, whenever they
yeah,
shoot it,
some
an
gravity.
explosion happens.
Yes.
Nothing, no bullets. It's just like,
And they all sound like they all look like regular guns from now, but they go pew
Yeah.
Like the laser sound is so amazingly terrible.
I actually thought to myself that perhaps Pluto Nash was bought the idea just from the description of, and we're going to have a fight scene in anti-gravity. You know, that could be enough for somebody to say
that's how
yes.
Inception got made.
I think it
Is
was
it?
bought based on that last scene.
On the last scene?
Murph's on Murph.
Murph's on Murph's
Oh
action.
yes.
That's why he signed on to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
he
never
wanted
going
to
to
have
make
his
sense of
Parent
it
Trap
until we get the
moment.
writer on.
Guys,
So if
this
you know
is going
this,
to be the longest podcast ever just because we're so confused.
please, if you are involved in this movie, come on, let's
we
make
got
some
to talk
sense.
to. We should try and get Victor Vernado. to
Victor
call
would
in.
talk about it. Victor has said some funny stories about it. I wonder if he'll now talk about it 12 years later. Also, your show is available. You can watch it immediately online. So whenever you listen to this, if it's not Wednesday, but if you're not setting your DVRs, you can watch the whole pilot episode.
Get a
It's
bag
already
of
on there.
popcorn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, how
You
is
gotta-
it?
you're gonna have to watch
You're
something.
gonna
Does it
have to
make
watch
eating
something.
popcorn fun?
It does. It does. It's usually such a chore.
Is
Best
there,
Friends Forever, Wednesday nights,
Colonel, I
8:30.
never know where to put my
Snooze.
eyes when I'm eating popcorn.
Is there nudity in your show?
Yes.
Male nudity.
Really,
Yeah, male nudity. And then a hot scene between Lennon and I where I pull her on top of me in a bathtub and she almost drowned me
It's episode
Wow.
2.
in episode
Episode
2.
two.
This is the.
Watch
I am
the show.
most excited to see this show out of any show that's coming out.
See, that's how I
That is
feel
very
about
sweet.
Betty White's Granny.
I know.
Off
So
the
we should
rocker.
What
put
are
it
you just
together
going to
and
call
get
it?
a
Granny's
full
Gone Wild?
I was going to say Granny Wars.
That I'd
By the
see.
way, I'm pitching a show
That
called
I'd
Granny
see.
Wars.
As always, you can follow myself at Paul Scheer on Twitter. June at Miss June Diane. Jason is not on Twitter, but visit us on our Facebook page and at the earwolf.com site. Leave us comments, questions, whatever. We look at them, and hopefully we'll be selling our new T-shirt very shortly. So that's it for us. Thank you very much. See you next time.
How did this get made?